This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
A lot of shit going on. I don't even know if I can keep up with it. I'm making this video because I'm growing sick and tired, and I figured I covered it in my last video, right? But I'm continuing to notice people spew this bullshit, like they don't understand or they can't wrap their minds around why another person would feel this way. And I've noticed there's a problem, with that, with understanding it, at the very least, even if you disagree, understanding where people are coming from. And I noticed that when it comes down to the black experience, people really have an inability to understand where black people are coming from. Now, I don't know that this is just the voices on the right, but, I've also seen, some black people voice this opinion. These sort of sanctimonious black people. I just watched a video from Light Skin Motivation. Oh my God, highlighting why biracials should really be kicked out of the black community. She took the white perspective. What does looting have to do with George Floyd? What does looting have to do with George Floyd, right? Again, completely disconnected from the black experience. Now, I've been going back and forth all day with a friend of mine, white guy, and I had to get personal with him in order for him to really understand why people are looting. So he asked a question. Let me pull up. He asked the question. He said, I sent him the video of the guy who was killed, lost his life, because he was trying to rob a FedEx truck. I saw the video from two different angles, and I saw the boxes being tossed out of the back of the FedEx truck because it was basically a FedEx truck that had two trailers on it. And this is out of St. Louis, Missouri. And I guess the truck was moving forward at some point in time. He fell between the trailers. And, the truck driver, fearing for his life because, he's just a FedEx truck driver and all these people are trying to, jack the FedEx truck, he pulls off. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him for being scared. There was another guy who lost his life in St. Louis who a store owner ended up shooting him with a shotgun. Right. And I'm going to explain, the whole why people loot and why the looting is directly tied to George Floyd dying, or any other time that you see this sort of looting, which is kicked off by a black person dying. But let me say this, for the people who want to loot, and again, I'm going to explain in the reasons as to why you do it. I'm saying regardless of the reasons as to why you go out here and loot, eventually people are going to get sick and tired of that shit. And they are going to pick up arms and take up arms and blow your fucking head off. It's like, remember, what was that movie? Fast and Furious. Remember the first one? Right? And, when they were, jacking all those trucks. And then at the end of the movie, they were like, yo, the truck drivers, they're not laying down anymore. And you had that truck driver who had the double barrel shotgun when Paul Walker was on the hood of the car or hood of the truck, right? So You got people who, they have businesses. Their businesses are their livelihood. And already the economy's all fucked up. They don't know how they're going to keep their business open and everything. And then you sprinkle looters on top of that. I'm like, that's a bad recipe. On top of the fact that people over the last 2 months have been buying guns like crazy. Go ahead, go over to any gun site, Classic Firearms, go over to sgammo.com. Go over to, any of these gun websites where you can, purchase firearms online and have them sent to an FFL, and you will see the delays in terms of them transferring those firearms to those FFLs because people have been buying guns. So now you have a significantly more well-armed population than you previously had, and you got black people out here who, don't exercise their Second Amendment rights, despite what I talk about, in terms of self-protection and self-defense, and basically being as menacing as those white folks were when they walked up on the Michigan Capitol. Because I like how somebody said it in my comment section, they went up there to go protest and had to bring their guns so that they could get a haircut, right? Opening up the government. But when it comes to, black people and this, they're always up there talking about tyranny and talking about injustice, and the cops are the Nazis and Gestapo and all this other stuff, and California and New Jersey will be called New Germany and all that stuff, right? But when it comes to a black person getting, shot or killed and having a negative interaction with police officers, all of a sudden these people are nowhere to be seen. All of a sudden, tyranny doesn't happen to black people. Tyranny only happens to white people when they want to get a haircut, right? So, where's I going? What was I saying? Damn, I just lost my train of thought about where I was going with the explaining the. So I'm just saying, you got the people that want to go out there, they want to riot and everything. I'm just saying, folks are not laying down like that. The other thing I wanted to say is I did not understand black people looting their own community and their own stores in Atlanta. That's your home base. I didn't understand that. Like when I saw the Instagram video of them brothers standing out in front of the stores that they had, I was like, they're not sitting there worried. They're not sitting there worried about white folks coming to their stores and looting from their stores. They're worried about niggas. That's who they worried about. Other young black men, right? So you had these young black men that were standing in front of, I don't know if it was a family business or whatever, because I thought to myself, I was like, just imagine Styles, Monstrosity, sitting on the stoop of his business. I could just picture him just sitting there smoking a cigarette. I was like, and a gang of white kids come up. They ain't gonna fuck with him. They not gonna fuck with him. I mean, it's just not going to happen. That's not even in them. It's not even in their demeanor to go out there and fuck with black people like that. Because again, even when it comes to the white people that are out there protesting, they still fear black men. It's like the very thing that they're out there helping to protest against, they still have those innate biases. They still be scared of a black person if a black person turned and snapped on them, which is again the whole issue that's surrounding Black Lives Matter and the interaction that black people have with police because of these sort of stereotypes and these sort of cultural biases and innate fear of black men because of media and propaganda, right? But what else? What is something else I was going to touch on? I'll touch on the provocateurs after I talk about this, because I've seen the videos with the provocateurs, these people in all black and their faces are covered, and they're, you saw the guy at the AutoZone in Minnesota before that building was burnt down. He was exposed to be a cop, right? So you got these agents out here that are, basically trying to, basically do the whole Richard Aoki thing, shift popular opinion against, the black people that are out there protesting by, causing looting or instigating looting or being a catalyst for it. Or, as I said with Richard Aoki, he was the one that he was FBI informant, Japanese guy that the Black Panthers didn't suspect, let them in the organization underneath COINTELPRO, right, which was pushed by Hoover, right? And he gave black guns to the Black Panthers, which probably elicited even the whole march on the Capitol in, what was that, San Francisco, California. Reagan was the governor. Mulford Act, which basically banned open carry in the state of California, right? And, after that, the Black Panthers got into armed conflicts with police officers, which, if anything, shifted public opinion against the Black Panthers towards, against the Black Panthers and, towards police, right? So it's the Blue Lives Matter of the 60s, right? These Panthers are terrorists. They're out there killing our law enforcement officers, right? When it was the FBI who gave the Black Panthers, again, you can go on YouTube and pull up any video on Richard Aoki and FBI agent Larry Threadgill, who was the one who taught him, who trained him as an informant, okay? He is, he's the one that armed the Black Panthers. This is known information. 2000 and I think it was 9, he blew his head off. He committed suicide, probably out of guilt. Now, what people say is that the scene, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they say that at the scene, he had a Black Panther suit that was laid out and he had his FBI informant suit laid out. So he was probably a torn man, because of that, because, probably, those people were his friends and everything. And, he was acting and operating as a counter-revolutionary and, saw the manifestation of what he contributed to, over the years. So possibly guilt and committed suicide back in 2009. Now, I'll get into the provocateurs later. But anyway, I know that was a long introduction. But so my white friend asked, he said, after I showed him the guy that had gotten ran over by the truck and he got dragged, which means he got ground to sawdust as that 18-wheeler truck, or probably more than 18, I don't know how many wheels it has because it had 2 trailers, dragged him. And people were trying to stop the trucks from dragging him, but I'm like, they were looting the truck. So anyway, he asked a question. He says, I showed him the video. He says, "Oh my God, so much senseless pain. This is what I'm talking about. What does jacking a FedEx truck have to do with what happened to George Floyd? And now we have another senseless death," right? White people speak. So I responded and I said, yeah, he got grinded to sawdust to death. And I said, again, I'll say it again, because I've been basically really trying to, reiterate this point. But, he's one of these, white guys, despite the fact that we're cool. He's one of these white guys that, he's right leaning and he listens to conservative talk and all that other stuff. Right. And so, I end up being his go-to black person where he wants to run all the stuff he hears from talk radio and conservative talk over by me. And he can't get around me. And you're going to see that in a second. So I say again, I'll say it again. When the system says, fuck you, fuck the system. George Floyd's death was the system saying, fuck you. Your existence is not valuable. Well, I don't have, this is a text message, so I don't really have any commas in here. But George Floyd's death was the system saying, fuck you. It was saying that your existence is not valuable to all black people. So at that point, the people stopped giving a fuck. I'm going to take what I want from the system because the system keeps taking from me or taking from my people, right? I continue, I say, that's how they see it. This is not rocket science. Compare it to how many times you got dragged, and this is where I went personal with him. I said, compare this to how many times you got dragged into court and raked over the coals. Eventually you say, fuck it. I'll burn my house down before my ex-wife gets anything, which is something that he said before. And I said, and you know as well as I do that you think like that. If you get pissed off enough, that is how you'll behave. And then his only response was true. See, I had to go personal with him. I had to highlight where he, his wife, his original wife, his first wife, cheated on him, and he caught a domestic because he put hands on her, and I don't really particularly blame him, to be honest, because he did the whole Chris Hansen thing, like he busted out the transcripts and shit and was like just reading it off. Oh, I want your big cock in my mouth and da 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 da. Oh man, and she was just sitting there just lying to his face about it. So you could imagine how somebody gets pissed off with that. But he lost his cool, right? So I'm talking to somebody who knows what it is to be that angry and lose their cool. But I'm saying they had a real nasty divorce. And I remember one day he said, she's trying to take me back to court for more money, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, I'll burn this fucking house down before she gets a dime. What's the difference between that, especially to all these MGTOW white guys out here? Like, cause you gotta make it relatable to them. Cause you got a lot of white men, they talk like that when it comes to their wives. You think about how many murder-suicides exist out here where you get these guys and, you try to take power from white men, they'll kill you, they'll kill the baby, they'll burn the fucking house down. Like, they don't give a fuck. So knowing that and seeing so many examples of that with white men in society who have the highest suicide rate in America, when they get up there on the microphone and sit there and why are you all looting? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? If you get to the point that that you look at a situation like fuck it then, or burn this motherfucker down, some people are going to take the approach that again, the system takes from me, so I'm just going to take from the system. That's how these businesses are looked at. They're looked at as a part of the system, the whole society. And again, as I said before, going back to what Trevor Noah pointed out, if you have the people who govern, the people who enforce the laws, if they're breaking the laws, talk about the hypocrisy and the contradiction. If they're breaking the laws, why is anybody else going to follow those laws? Why should anybody else fear they're out there just breaking the laws. There's no consequences, or there's only a slap on the wrist. Fuck it then. Right? Now, you do have some people out here that are just parasitic. They're just out there just to get what they want to, just to get something. Right? But or they look at it like, whoa, well, the cops they're preoccupied over here, so I'm gonna go over, and go rob some shit because the cops ain't gonna come. Right? Knowing already that when it comes to law enforcement and how many cops have COVID and police departments are like half staff and all that other shit. Oh, it's like, this is like just the ultimate clusterfuck. COVID-19, 40 million people out of work, filing for unemployment. People, even young people for the class of 2020, they didn't get to go to prom. They didn't get to go to graduation. Right? They're not going to get any of those memories. Then on top of that, it's a motherfucking weekend. It's a Friday, that this shit popped off. And it's the beginning of summer. The weather is warm. This is like the ultimate clusterfuck of just compounded shit. People been locked inside. They ain't come outside. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is, the way in which George Floyd was killed incensed a lot of people, even people who are not black. Okay? Executions don't even last that long. 8 minutes of watching somebody be snuffed out. And the other thing is, and I said this in another video, so I guess I'll just put it in this video. You ever see the movie where Monica Bellucci gets raped? You ever see that movie? Right? You can find it on a lot of porn sites, which I find disturbing. But there's a French movie that had Monica Bellucci in it, and she got raped in the movie. And you know what was the most powerful thing about the scene, right? In most movies, if there's a rape, the camera's jumping all over the place and whatnot, changing the angle, right? Or it's like in a movie, like during Black Panther with Killmonger, when he killed, the Claw, right? The camera went black, which is typically what happens when there's something gruesome that's about to happen. What makes the Monica Bellucci rape scene so powerful in my mind is the fact that the camera is on the floor and it doesn't move the entire time. She gets raped in a hallway. Okay, and I mean the acting is phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal. Like, you literally seriously think she's getting raped. They even show a person way down the hallway in the background, who's just that like they could have helped her, but they didn't. Kind of, which even further brought, the disturbingness to the video. It's like, yo, you can help her. You're right down the hallway, and you just see the camera's focused on, Monica Bellucci and her, attacker, so you can barely see the person at the end of the hallway, but he can see what's going on, but still decides, not my problem, and leaves. Right? But the George Floyd murder was the same way, right? The camera, as far as I can recall, didn't move. You watched him the whole time, the whole 8 minutes of him being snuffed out. With the Monica Bellucci scene, it's hard to watch. I'd advise you, if you've ever been sexually assaulted, to not watch that scene. Because it's akin to, I remember when they did the screening for Saving Private Ryan, and they said that veterans from World War II that stormed the beaches of Omaha and Nebraska, they walked out of the movie theater because that's how real to life it was. And the Monica Bellucci rape scene is that real to life. And again, first time I saw it, it was, if you wanted to look away, you had to look away. Most movies don't do that. Most movies don't force you to watch something. And the way that camera angle is, it forced you to watch it. And that's how I looked at the George Floyd assassination. That's how I looked at it. Just the camera's just, you're watching this person get snuffed out. I don't think, executions don't even take that long. So, what else was I going to say? The provocateurs, right? So anyway, I was saying that, I think that contributes to, people being incensed. But the provocateurs, okay? So there's been a couple of videos coming out of these people that are provocateurs. First, you had the guy that smashed the windows at the AutoZone and, had the umbrella on. He was found to be a cop. Apparently, his ex-wife identified him, okay? But he went there and smashed all the glasses. I don't know if that's from, the dark Illuminati, or whether that's from the police department. Again, wants to shift the opinion. Oh, don't pay attention to what we do. Oh, look at the looting, right? Well, shit, they're not looting fast enough. What do? I don't know. Friggin' kick it off. Go out there and smash the glass, and then they'll take it from there, right? Same thing that they did in the first Purge, if you ever watched that movie. Right? The black people they thought the whole purge was designed so that the ghettos would purge themselves and all the black people kill themselves. But since it wasn't happening fast enough, they decided to go in there and hire the Ku Klux Klan to come in there and go and kill everybody. Remember all the scene where everybody was hiding in the church because they thought white Jesus was going to protect them? Well, that didn't happen, right? And so that's what the provocateurs are, right? Now, some people want to say, I've already heard the white people in the white circles, the conservative circles, it's Antifa, it's these other people. And I'm saying you got to understand that there's a lot of people that most certainly want to kick off either anarchy or a race war or whatever. So black people going to have to be vigilant, for however long these fucking protests go on. Okay, it's just like Dylann Roof. What did Dylann Roof want to do? He wanted to start a race war. Right? That's why he went into the AME church and shot up the AME church. He wanted to start a race war. Okay? So you got to understand that because these crowds are multicultural, which I think is a problem, now you got a situation where not only do black people have an inability to police the shit, they have an inability to really control, the what's going on, the march, right? And, this is why, I said black men need to handle their own fights and stop, with this open door policy of not just black women coming into the room, but other groups coming into the room. I don't agree with it. Some people argue, oh, well, it's great to have allies and everything, and we don't want to ostracize and everything. I get it, because personally, I'm like this. It might not be the best thing if it was just black people out there, because then it would look so much of a black people versus white people thing, as opposed to, the people versus the system, that, that'll really hurt black people economically speaking, be it the fact that we don't have any businesses or opportunities ourselves, which is the downside of black people looting these businesses. I get it. Going back to the 60s, people used to say, oh, well, black people are burning their own communities. I love that one. That's the conservatives always push that one, right? But if black people don't own the properties that are being burned, then technically speaking, they're not burning their own communities. They're burning the property of the landlords that have been exploiting them for so long. Going back to what I said about the system taking, and black people going out there and looting and saying, fuck that, I'm going to take some of this back. I'm going to take my own reparations, or whatever you want to call it, right? Even though technically that wouldn't even amount to what reparations actually should be. But again, when you're talking about a powerless group of people that don't control any resources and whatnot, that's what they're gonna go with. That's the closest thing that they can get to getting something back. Fuck it. That's what they're gonna do to try to get something back, right? But what was I saying? I was talking about the provocateurs. So to really highlight the issue of all these other people being involved in this shit, there was a video. Colion Noir posted a video on Instagram, and I watched it. And it had some black women who were out there. Again, I don't agree with black women being out there, because I already know that there's a bill coming. I don't know if y'all saw the picture of the light-skinned girl who took a rubber bullet to the face, right? But sorry, brothers, but there's going to be a bill attached to that. I was making jokes with Captain Saw. I was like, I have a feeling that she's not going to be bringing this to the light-skinned men's headquarters, right? Because it was a dark-skinned man who got killed, and, she's out there protesting and whatnot. But I'm like, yeah, we're going to get billed for this one, fellas, right? Again, which is why I say women don't need to be out there. But anyway, these sisters, it wasn't just one, okay? They were the one that had the camera, and there was some other women that were around. And once they picked up on the woman with the camera and what she was saying to these non-black women that were up there, they were all had their faces all covered, dressed in all black. I don't know what it is about these provocateurs, but they like to wear all black and cover their face. They look like Antifa. So she gets the camera, and she turns and she's like, what are you doing? Right? First, you got a person, he writes cop killer on the wall. And people were like, yo, don't do that. That's, why are you being extra? All that shit is extra, right? These people are not black who are doing this. Then, again, going back to the woman, there's another, she's showing two women that are spray painting the side of the building and writing BLM on the side of the building. Does anybody see why that's a problem? Right? You see why that's a problem? Especially when people want to talk about who's doing the vandal. See, we're the face of the shit. It don't matter how many non-black people are out there. It don't matter what they do. It's going to be put on us. It could be 90% non-black looters and only 10% black people in the crowd. And if some shit gets looted, they'll be like, oh, the niggas done it. Right? That's how fucked up it is. That's just the reality of it. They're going to say, oh, it was the black people. Right? But there's so many non-black people out here in these crowds. Again, I don't think that all these people, oh, it's boo-hoo for George. Nah, it's a culmination of stuff. You know, shit to do, get out the house, fucking, they're actually silently protesting, you know, again, like the white people in Michigan that marched on the state house with all their assault weapons to get a haircut. You know, it's all of it. It's I'm sick of this shit. And George is just the freaking straw that broke the camel's back. But it's a problem to have these non-black people out there spraying BLM on the side of the building, because you already know what Fox News is going to do. Y'all seen that other bitch ass Fox reporter, the same one that was in Baltimore, that was asking them lame ass fucked up questions to the city councilman. Y'all remember that dude? He was at there. They tried to run his ass out of there because people apparently exposed him. But, you know, you got reporters running around claiming to be attacked that ain't really been attacked. Okay? I thought it was actually comical when the cops fired the freaking paintball, what do you call that? Pepper spray pellets at this white female news reporter. She was like, oh, I'm being shot. Oh. I was like, that's what you get, bitch, for getting too fucking close. Anyway, so yeah. So this sister, she laid the shit out. She was like, nah, don't be doing that shit. And it was fun. And I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of a vindication for me, because that's what I said in my other video about, you know, black men need cheerleaders, which is like, yo, I ain't ask you to do that. I ain't ask you to do that. Like when it comes to black women, they were like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You know, this isn't reciprocated, da, 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 da. I'm like, yo, I ain't ask you to do that. And that was the same thing that this sister said to them non-black women that were writing BLM on the, nah, don't do that. In other words, don't do anything that we don't co-sign, that we don't sign off on. You see what I'm saying? Because you going out there doing all this extra shit because you think that you might be helping somebody, or maybe, again, they're provocateurs, right? Spray BLM, kill cops, put BLM and kill cops right next to each other. And you already know that the white conservatives are going to be like, oh my God, look, here's the evidence. Look at what was written on the wall. Anybody can spray paint some shit on the fucking wall, right? But you know that's going to fall on us. But I'm saying the sister, she was up there. She was like, nah. She was like, we didn't ask you to do that. We did not ask you to do that. Don't be doing that shit, because all that shit's going to fall on us. And all these non-black women, when all that shit's said and done, you know, they're going to be gone. Okay? They're not going to face the brunt of, oh, and Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, and they did this, that, and the third, right? This is the problem with having these multicultural, you know, marches and shit. Because all these white folks and all these other folks, when everything's said and done, they're going to go home and they're going to go back to their lives of non-blackness privilege. They're going to go right back to those lives. Where black people are going to be seen as they're the troublemakers. They're the ones that did this, and they're the ones that did that, blah, 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 blah. That's how that shit's going to play out. You know, so for the people that's like, oh man, it's so great that these women is out here and these others are out here and they supporting us. And I'm like, okay, you say that it's cool that they're supporting you and everything else. And what happens if they doing too much? You see what I'm saying? What happens if the white guy, you standing there, you trying to show that you having a peaceful protest, which, I got my own issues with peaceful protests. You know, I notice there's a lot of niggas that get up in front of the camera and they want to be good little Negroes. They've allowed the media and the powers that be in the system to convince them that they need to behave, and that there's this you know, that they're shamed into thinking that to have a nonviolent protest is the way to go about it. And, you know, it's like what I always say, revolutions are bloody. People who think that they're going to have a non-bloody revolution, you're sadly mistaken. So my attitude is, you either accept it or you don't. You accept the bad with the good, or maybe you ain't cut for this shit. This shit ain't for you. I'm not advocating for violence. I just know that it comes with the territory, and I accept it for what it is. But the people out there thinking that they're going to go and just sing Negro spirituals and hymns and shit. And I mean, in Camden, New Jersey, they was out there, doing like what's that song called? It's like the version of the Electric Slide and shit like that. And everybody's like, oh, it was so peaceful and shit. Again, you notice that white people always want to elevate that shit. They always want to elevate. When the alternative, and somebody wrote it in my comments section, it was an awesome comment too, and I knew exactly what they're talking about. They love to highlight nonviolent protests and how awesome nonviolent protests are when the alternative, the immediate alternative, is violent protest. So you see this with, oh, we don't like Martin Luther King. Okay, bring Malcolm X into the room. Oh, shit. Oh, Martin Luther King. Oh, you're the greatest. Oh, Martin Luther King. Oh, we shall overcome. Right? Now they want to march down the street with you holding hands and shit. Now they want peaceful protests because they don't want their shit getting fucked up. You see what I'm saying? But like I said, when Colin Kaepernick was taking a peaceful protest and he was taking a knee, right? And there was nothing to juxtapose it against because there was no violent protest to contrast it against, right? They were shitting all on Colin Kaepernick, right? They were saying, oh, he needs to stand. He's disrespecting the troops. He's disrespecting the flag. He's disrespecting America. He's disrespecting the national anthem. He needs to stand. And then you do that shit on your own time, nigga, right? That's what they were saying, all that shit. But now they're like, oh, we need peaceful protests, and why are you all looting? Right? Now they want to talk all that shit. Now they wish Colin Kaepernick came back. Now they wish all the black people were running around taking fucking knees. You know what I'm saying? Okay, if black people started taking knees at national anthems and shit like that after all this shit done went down, I think white people will be more accepting of taking a knee. They'll be on television going, well, at least they're doing it peacefully, right? That'll be the shit that they'll be saying now. At least they're doing it peacefully. But when Colin Kaepernick was doing it peacefully in a vacuum with no violence to contrast it against, right? Oh, that nigga ain't shit. Go back to Africa, right? Even though he's biracial, but go back to Africa. You half-breed, right? All that shit. Right? He's still not playing in NFL, still ain't got a fucking job, even though Nike signed him or whatever, right? He's doing some other shit. Now he's a political activist and whatnot, but he's still blackballed. You know what I mean? Colin Kaepernick should be reinstated tomorrow. They should be like, oh, Colin Kaepernick, we was tripping. I don't know what we was thinking, Colin, but we could sure use those silent, peaceful protests right about now, White people full of shit, man. Full of shit. But again, I'm saying that my phone's about to die. Be careful out here. Be careful out here. I'm not going to tell you what to do and what not to do. If I'm going to tell you not to do anything, I'm like, don't be tearing up your home base for all you black people down there in Atlanta. This is part of the problem with again, we have no black leadership. We have no people. We have no connection to an educational system designed for us where black people are taught to be on the same page. We need to have our own schools, quiet as it's kept. We need to go back to segregated schools, quiet as it's kept, so that black youth can learn the skills and the mindset and the mentality that is in their collective best interest instead of going out here and getting an education that doesn't serve them and most certainly doesn't serve them in their own communities or address any of the problems that exist in their own communities. You see? So it's a whole fundamental problem. People out here, they're mad at the 16-year-olds. Why you be mad at the 16-year-olds? Be mad at yourself. Be mad at the parents that fucking brought them here without a plan or without setting anything up. Be mad at that. But people want to go out here and they want to be mad, because some 16-year-olds are out here mad. When you brought them into nothing, again, it's like none of it all. It's like what pisses me off about black people. Let me say this. as a woke black person, when you go around and you try to lay some shit out to black people and break stuff down, they don't want to hear it. You know, oh, you talking that pro-blackity black stuff, blah, 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 blah. Until some shit happens. Then when some shit happens, now everybody want to be woke. Oh, we got to do something. Nigga, I said we got to do something fucking 5 years ago. Oh, nigga, we got to do something. Oh, all because they see the smoke in the air. Now they want to talk. Now they want to talk like we're all organized at this point. But I can see my battery's about to die, so I'm gonna have to end this video because I don't want to lose this video just because the phone cuts off. But yeah, I've said all I need to say. That's all I gotta say. That's my video. SWP out.